everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane Spawn. This is the newest wave. I ordered this wave from the McFarlane toy store, took advantage of the bundle discount and the 10% off coupon code. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, ages 14 plus. This is not a toy. I always think it's hilarious when McFarlane puts on the stuff. This is definitely a toy, just a badass toy. And across the way, McFarlane Toys. This is Nightmare Spawn. Looks fantastic. Got wings, kind of devilish. Here is on one side, the back, looking fantastic. The bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is Nightmare Spawn's barcode. Next, we have the Sam and Twitch 2-pack. 2 police officers, detectives from the Spawn world. Definitely going to incorporate these into my Batman world. This will be Harvey Bullock here. Backside, got the 2 of them. And at the bottom, there is their barcode. Next, we have the Mega figure, Omega Spawn. Giant figure. He's got the horns up top. Looks like no traditional accessories. On the back, here he is, a ton of energy. And at the bottom, there is a barcode. Here is King Spider. This figure looks really cool. He's got a big ball and chain, some extra hands, and a little something else down there. Like that face. And here's his barcode. And finally, we've got Plague. He also looks very nice. 2 alternate hands, little display stand type thing. And finally, here is his barcode. So with no further ado, let's open them up. Alright, now that we have these figures out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. Each one of the figures comes with a display stand. Sam comes with a Tommy gun. Twitch with 2 revolvers. King Spider has 2 alternate hands. He also has a ball and chain and a little diorama base. Omega Spawn has no traditional accessories, nor does Nightmare Spawn. And then Plague has 2 alternate hands and his own little diorama base. In this video, we're going to take a look at each of the figures individually. We'll check out their accessories, height, and articulation, and then we'll compare them with a bunch of other Spawn figures and a bunch of action figures in general. So, we'll start off with Sam and Twitch. And I will say, Sam and Twitch are the figures I'm most excited for here. I'm going to use Sam as Detective Harvey Bullock in my Batman world. Sam and Twitch will be great police additions to my GCPD, Gotham City Police Department. King Spider I think looks really cool as well. Omega Spawn, also very impressive, very intimidating, has a very nice presence. I actually saw Sam and Twitch and Omega Spawn at Target yesterday. Really surprised to see him so early. But that Omega Spawn, priced at $50, it seems very questionable. I don't see why he's over $30. Maybe $40, because that's a typical Mega figure price. Still a little put off by that. The value just doesn't seem to be there. Still a very cool figure. I got him a little cheaper from the bundle at McFarlane Toy Store. Didn't have the other 3 figures, the single figures. I'm sure they'll be dropping real soon. Still, I got it cheaper than retail price at the McFarlane Toy Store. So no regrets there. So here's Sam and Twitch out of the package. There's some police officers, detectives, and they sometimes help Spawn. Keep an eye on things in the city. They're both very stylized. Sam here, his torso is huge, his legs are small, his articulation is very limited. Twitch here is very scrawny. They're still pretty cool, and they're going to be some nice detectives. Nice partner for a lot of different scenarios in my action figure world. So let's take a look at them. Start with Sam here, like I said, very stylized. You can see how dark it is around his eyes. He's fat, bunch of extra skin hanging down. Almost looks like something Frank Miller would draw. Very stylized. He's got a big trench coat, collar popped up. He's got a pistol that's permanently attached to the holster here. Very disappointing. He's got dress shirt and tie, dress slacks, looks like single jointed knees, single jointed elbows. On a bigger figure like this, McFarlane tends to steer away from double joints. It does break up the sculpt more. Good looking figure as a whole. Nice sculpting detail on the jacket. Then we've got Twitch here. Like I said, they're both very stylized. His hair looks good. Going to the back, a little curl in the front. Glasses, serious expression, goatee. Once again, a little sort of trench coat. Dress shirt, tie, dress pants. He does have double jointed elbows and knees. Pretty cool looking figure. Very opposite type partners. One's huge, one's super skinny. And I did do an entire separate video on Sam and Twitch. If you want to check that out, you can see how they fit into my Gotham City Police Department. And you can see the largest 6-7 inch police action figure collection out there. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Like I said, he's fat, ugly, very stylized. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Now let's check out their accessories. Let's start with the boring stuff. They both have this McFarlane display stand. It's the same display stand we've seen a million times. Black circle, says Spawn on the bottom. It's got one peg for the peg holes in their feet. Very thin, very basic. Now let's look at their guns. Sam comes with his Tommy gun. Going to be very useful in action figure world. Probably going to give it to Two-Face or a thug or mobster. It's got two handles, a big drum, nice scope to detail, although it's all black. Could use sort of a wooden base here, wooden handle. Then we have these two revolvers for Twitch. They also look pretty nice, but they could use a little bit of paint extra to sort of break up the sculpt. It's got a large barrel, a chamber, trigger. Looks good. Definitely could use a repaint though. Here he is holding the Tommy gun. With his one gripping hand, he can't even really hold the Tommy gun properly. Holding both handles. Still works okay like this though. Here's Twitch, holding his pistols, pointing them right at you. Now they've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories. Now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 6.9 inches tall, which can translate to about 17.5 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Start with his head here. Of course, you can rotate from side to side. Up and down about that far. You can tilt his head a little bit from side to side. The articulation of this guy is quite limited, but that's expected on a bulky figure by McFarlane. Shoulders go about 90 degrees. Ball joint there. Up, down, around. All that good stuff. Elbow, single jointed. About a 90 degree bend with rotation. His wrist can rotate around. And it's going to be hinged as well. Torso is one solid piece. Torso seems pretty large compared to his waist. He's got a ball joint at his waist, rotate around, forward and back. His legs go out about this far. Not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. His legs go forward about that much. Back, not very much. He's got single jointed knees. They go back less than 90 degrees with rotation. Then his ankle here, forward and back, rotate, tilt, rock, and he has toe articulation. Now let's check out his height, and he's a little bit smaller than Sam. From bottom to the top of his head, standing at about 6.75 inches tall, which can translate to about 17 centimeters. Now let's look at his articulation. Start with his head here. Of course, you can rotate from side to side. Look up and down about that far. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint. Goes up about 90 degrees. Up, down, around. All that good stuff. He's got a bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows below that. His wrist can rotate. And it's hinged as well. He's got a ball joint in his torso. Rotate around. Forward and back. Another one on his waist. Rotate around. Forward and back. Giving him pretty good range of motion in his torso area. Jacket obstructs things a little bit. Legs. About does the splits. Not a ball joint, but a similar type idea. Rotation's non-existent. They go forward about that far. Back, not much. Double jointed knees, they go all the way back. Then his ankle here. Forward and back. Rotate. Tilt. Rock. And toe articulation. Here they are next to the original Sam and Twitch figures. Smaller scale, but always held a special place in my heart. That guy was my fill-in for Bullock for so many years. And as part of Twitch, I just threw with the police. Of course, as action figures got larger and larger, these guys became very dated and are really kind of useless in today's collection. And that's why I was really excited to get these updated versions at a better scale, better style. Here's Sam, next to a DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Bullock figure. You can definitely see the similarities here. Then, next to a Diamond Select Toys Gotham Bullock figure. Here's Sam at Twitch at the police station. Sam eating a donut, Twitch on the radio. Here they are, two partners on the streets fighting crime. Got their car behind them. Now it's like King Spider. He has two hands, totally four interchangeable hands, a little display base, a display stand, and a ball and chain. Let's take a look at him. Start with his face. I think it looks excellent. He's got a spider all over him, red eyes. I like it a lot. Got, I don't know, some sort of tattered garment around his neck. Looks pretty weird. Spikes come out of his shoulders, his forearms. Nice sculpting detail on the muscle there. Looks like double ball joints in the torso area, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Like what I'm seeing. Adding to the Spawn Rogues Gallery. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. I really like that spider logo on him. Reminds me of Black Spider or Batman Rogue. And here's the figure broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories. We already looked at the display stand, so now let's check out his hands. He's got a total of 4 hands, 2 right hands, 2 left hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his open hands. And here he is with his other pair of hands. His right hand is a fist, and his left hand is a gripping hand. Then we have this little sort of diorama base, but it's so small that it's probably going to be pretty useless. I mean, it looks cool for what it is. A little skull there, a lot of sculpting detail. Looks like some cement pieces, some wires coming out, a little peg for the pickles on his feet. But like I said, this thing is just so damn small. Here's King Spider next to the stand, just to give you an idea of how small it is. I don't really see this being useful at all. I mean, I guess it's supposed to be used like this. This is how the sort of peg hole comes out. Like I said, it's just so small that I don't really see it being very useful. And you don't really need it to support him. I mean, it looks good for what it is, but it's so little, what's the point? Then we have this ball and chain. Yeah, old ball and chain. Got the chain here, kind of a bendable material, at least a little bit. Spike ball here, chain goes around here, and can probably wrap around his other arm. Here's King Spider with the ball and chain. You can have it wrapped around his arm, dangling onto the floor. He can hold it with either one hand or with 2 hands. Now they're taking a pretty good look at the figure and his accessories. Now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing at about 7.1 inches tall, which could translate to 18 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here. Of course, you can rotate from side to side. You can look up, down, about that much. You can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders, ball joint, goes out a little bit more than 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a butterfly joint between shoulder and chest area, increasing the range of motion and covering that large gap. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows. His wrist can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Ball joint his torso. Rotate around, forward and back, very tight there. Another one his waist, rotate around, forward and back, giving him pretty good range of motion in his torso area. Legs, completely does the splits. Not a ball joint, but a similar idea. Rotation is non-existent. Legs go forward about that much. Back, not at all. Double jointed knees. Then his ankles here. Forward and back. It seems like my rotation is stuck, although I'm sure it is there. Tilt rock to articulation. You know, can't get it to do on either one. I'll have to dip in some hot water and see what's up. So I did dip into some boiling water, and I don't believe he has rotation in his ankles. Kind of interesting. Looks like there's a perfect place for a cut, right at the bottom of that green stuff. Here's King Spider, Next to a custom black spider my wife made for me many, many years ago. You can see their heads. Definitely some similarities there. Now let's check out Omega Spawn. This is the mega figure in this wave. He looks really good, but that $50 price tag is inexcusable. He's smaller than some of the $40 mega figures, so I'm really kind of perplexed. McFarlane is typically not known for more or less scalping. They offer their figures at a lower price than everybody else. 20 bucks a figure, holding the line there, who knows for how long. So stuff like this does kind of surprise me. I got mine a little cheaper at the bottle discount, but still, seeing that that's the suggested retail price is, it's a big pill to swallow. He comes with a display stand, no reason to look at that, so let's check out the figure. He looks awesome. Look at the face, look at the eyes, the mouth, those horns, they look phenomenal. Sculpt and detail, spikes on his head, all the different sculpting on his horns, it looks fantastic. He's got this big cape, I don't know, it kind of emulates fur, feathers. Detail is great on this thing. It's not even one solid color exactly. I mean, it's brown, but it looks like maybe some different sort of shades here and there. He's got chains going across his waist, that Spawn logo, spikes on these straps, spikes and just sculpting all over this guy, single jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Great looking figure, overpriced. He'll probably be on discount at Amazon in the future, definitely GameStop. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Definitely liking what I'm seeing here. And now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing about 8.8 inches tall, which can translate to a little bit over 22 centimeters. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side, it can look up and down about that much. Can't tilt his head. Pretty good range of motion there. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes up less than 90 degrees. These spikes are going to obstruct that. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. No bicep cut. Single jointed elbow, goes about 90 degrees with rotation. His wrist, going to rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. In his torso here, he's got a ball joint, rotate around, forward and back. Another one in his waist, rotate around, forward and back, giving him pretty good range of motion here. You can kind of see that gap there at the bottom. Just be careful how you pose this guy. Legs, complete dust of splits, not a ball joint, similar idea. Rotation's pretty good on this guy. Legs go forward about that much, back pretty much not at all. Double jointed knees, they go back about that far. And then his ankle here, forward and back, rotation, tilt, rock, and to articulation. Now let's check him out. Next to some other Spawn mega figures. Here he is next to Violator. Violator also had a $50 price tag, but my god, look at him. He's giant, he's a beast, and the sculpt is amazing on this guy. Don't see how it's justified on this Omega Spawn. He should have just been a normal $40 mega figure. Then, next to Cygor, here's a Mega Spawn next to Overkill. And here he is, next to the Target exclusive Manga Spawn. Here are all the mega figures they've made in the Spawn line so far. Looks like they're doing about one per wave, with some various exclusives out there. And I guess it's the horns, but this Omega Spawn kind of makes me think of Steppenwolf, Spawnified. Now let's look at Nightmare Spawn. He only comes with a display stand. So let's check him out. He's got these wings, kind of makes me think of a gargoyle. Got the sort of crown on his head, Spawn logo. He's got forearm armor on one side. Typically Spawn always seems to have something like that. Now this is not Spawn that you know, Al Simmons. It's going to be a different one. He's got these wings, and there's this orange stuff all over it. I guess it's supposed to be there, but it just looks bad. Looks like some random paint slapped on there. It's all over his body. You can see it here. Even sort of on his feet. Sculpting's pretty nice. He's kind of skinny here. The top part of the torso looks a little too big compared to what's below it. I don't know. Spikes and all kind of stuff all over this guy. Very demonic. The wings look good. You can see on the inside different little sort of segments there. Looks like double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Legs seem a little thin, especially near the bottom. Good looking figure. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Look at the teeth, the mouth, the crown, the sort of spawn mask. All looks really good. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing at about 7.25 inches tall, which can translate to about 18.5 centimeters. If you go to the top of the crown, about 7.75 inches tall, and if you go to the top of the wings, about 9 inches tall. Now let's check out his articulation, starting with his head here. Of course, you can rotate from side to side, look up, not too much, down that far though. Can't tilt his head from one side to the other. His wings, they're on a ball joint. There is rotation and hinge as well. So pretty nice there. Shoulders, ball joint goes about 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. Bicep cut below that. Looks like that's a single jointed elbow with rotation. And this one here is a double jointed elbow. I guess that forearm armor messes that up for him. Wrist can rotate. It's going to be hinged as well. He's got ball joint his torso, rotate around, forward and back. Pretty impressive range there. Looks a little bad when you go all the way back. Can definitely limbo. Another one is waist, rotate around, forward and back, giving him very wide range motion in his torso area. Legs. Yeah, it seems like this one's not going any further. Not getting tucked in like the other one. Goes about that far. Not ball joints, similar idea. They do have a thigh cut here, which is unusual for a McFarlane figure. They go forward about that far. Back, not much. Double jointed knees. Then his ankle here, forward and back. Rotation, tilt, rock. Well, that seems stuck. In fact, he may not have a tilt rock. Doesn't seem to work on either one of them. And he has toe articulation. Here's Nightmare Spawn on top of a roof. He's on top of a crypt in a graveyard. Now let's look at Plague. He comes with 2 alternate hands, totally 4 interchangeable hands, display stand, and a sort of little display diorama base. So let's check him out. Starting with his face here, it looks great. The red, his gums, and his mouth matches his Spawn logo, and just really kind of makes him terrifying. His teeth are exposed, eyes are yellow. He's got the black suit, some sort of white mixed in. He's got the stuff coming out of the back of him. All looks very cool, and it's made sort of bendable, so you don't have to worry about breaking it. You can see the back of his head. Paint job's pretty cool. I like that logo there. Giant fingers, some grabbing hands here, but he has alternate regular hands. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Scope and detail is very nice in this guy. Adding more to the Spawn Rogues Gallery. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. And here's the figure broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's look at his accessories, and let's start off with his hands. He's got a total of 4 hands, 2 larger hands, and 2 normal-sized hands. Here he is, with his larger pair of hands. His right hand is all long fingers. His left hand here only seems to have a long index finger and thumb. And here he is, with his normal-sized hands. Here's his display base. This one's white. It looks good. It's got all these skulls, spikes going through them, some skulls almost melted onto the ground. Here's a peg for the pegals on his feet. Now, this one's also very small. It looks nice, but it's not going to be that useful. Neither one of these are really going to help with action figure photography. Still, this one's a little bigger than the other one, so I'm happy about that. You can see what I mean on the sizing of these things. And I guess he's supposed to be sort of standing like this. this is where the peg hole is. Honestly, I'm probably just going to give both these diorama bases to my predators. The skulls. Makes more sense to me that way. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at this figure, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, about 7.1 inches tall, which you can translate to 18 centimeters. And if you go to the top of, I don't know, wherever that shit is going from behind his back, about 8 inches tall. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here. Of course, you can rotate from side to side. You can look up and down about that far. Tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders, ball joint, goes out more than 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got that butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows. His wrist can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Ball joint his torso, rotate around, forward and back. Another one his waist, rotate around, forward and back. Good range of motion there. Legs, not quite the splits, but close. Not a ball joint. Rotation's non-existent. They go forward that far, back, not much. Double jointed knees, then his ankles, forward and back, rotate, tilt, rock, and toe articulation. His ankles kind of loose on this guy. Here's his entire fourth wave of Spawn figures, all on the streets together. Fantastic wave. Now let's check them out next to some of their action figures, starting off with some of their Spawn figures. Here's his fourth wave of Spawn figures. Next to the first wave of Spawn figures, we've got Violator, Clown, Redeemer, and Ravager Spawn. Then, with the second wave of Spawn figures, we've got both versions of Gunslinger Spawn, Cyborg, Dark Redeemer, She-Spawn, and Soul Crusher. And here they are, with the third wave, another version of Ravager Spawn, Haunt, Overkill, the Deluxe Spawn with Throne, and Ninja Spawn. And now, with a couple of exclusive figures, the Target exclusive Mega Figure Manga Spawn, and the GameStop exclusive Gunslinger with Horse. Then, with all three versions of the Mandarin Spawn. And finally, next to all 9 variations of Spawn from Mortal Kombat 11. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how they fit in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which ones you can mix them with. Since they're McFarlane figures, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the large action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. But first, let's check them out with some of the McFarlane Toys brothers. Here is this wave of Spawn figures, next to 4 other McFarlane figures. In front of you are 5 different McFarlane lines, all 7-inch scale. Then, with some more McFarlane toys, these are from different various video game properties, and now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And here they are, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here they are, standing with some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here they are, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here they are, with some Mayfix figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here they are, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, it's a really nice Spawn wave. I would say my favorites are Sam and Twitch. And if you're interested, they were so important to me, I did a complete separate video on those guys. I'm a huge fan of regular looking action figures, civilians, thugs, mobsters, detectives, etc. Those guys are going to fit into my Batman action figure world in my GCPD with the Gotham City Police Department. They're amazing figures from that point of view. I'm probably the minority here. Most people probably like the other type of characters, but that's my specialty. My next favorite's going to be King Spider. He's just different than the other Spawn villains. Omega would definitely be my next favorite, but the price is just not justified on him. Still a really nice figure. And then Nightmare Spawn and Plague. They're also really nice. They totally fit into the Spawn world, the aesthetics, evil, demonic type villains. If I were to rate this wave as a whole, probably gonna give it a 7 out of 10. There are some ups, some downs. Sam and Twitch are my favorite, but they definitely have some flaws as far as figures go. Very stylized. Limited articulation, especially on Sam. Haunt, really don't have much negative to say about him, except for that stupid small diorama base. I don't understand why it's so little, because if it's so small, then why even include it? And mine has a pretty big paint flaw on the top of his head, very noticeable and annoying. Omega Spawn, no accessories, fantastic sculpt, intimidating figure, has great presence, but he's just far too expensive. Nightmare Spawn, love the wings. Legs are a little bit loose in the ankles, but he stands just fine. And then Plague, similar to Spawn, but dark, evil. I really like those two. Like I said, Sam and Twitch are my favorite, followed by King Spider, then Omega, then probably Nightmare Spawn, then Plague. And that is not to say Plague's a bad figure. He's a really nice figure. Looking forward to seeing what Spawn Wave 5 is going to be like. I imagine it'll be another month or two before we see that. And then bam, they'll be dropping right after we see them. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.